Welcome to Half a Chance Podcast. I'm Jason.
And I'm Paul, and we're your hosts for today. Once again, we are not alone. We have Josh returning to tell us about Starfield. This time, more educated than before. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me back.
Thanks, Josh, for being here again, talking about Starfield again. How many hours are you into this game now?
I am roughly 34 hours, and I feel like I've done absolutely nothing.
I have about 32 hours of playthrough, and I'm about in the same boat. Pushed through a slow start, really started getting into it. Then I kind of hit a wall that I'm still trying to work my way over. I can explain that later. Jason, how much time have you played so far?
I've played up to 47 hours so far, and I feel like I've done a lot, but I also feel like I haven't scratched the surface on a lot of things.
All right. Well, as much as we want to talk about our experiences, we're here to talk about Josh's experience with his first Bethesda game. In the first part of this episode, we'll get his evaluation of Starfield.
And in the second part, we're going to hear about Josh's character that he ran with, and he'll give us a little bit of a breakdown of that, and we'll do some comparisons.
And then in the final part of this episode, we'll swap some of our stories and encounters that we had while playing the game. So, Josh, start us off with your overall impression of the game. How is your first Bethesda experience going?
It's exactly what I expected, but like even more so. The depth of world is just what blows my mind. How Bethesda just puts so much world building into this. It's almost overwhelming. Children, like you just pass children in the streets and they want to engage with you and do so much with you, and there's the main story and all the factions. It's just amazing how much they fit into this game. I feel like this should be a 500 gig game on my on my solid state, but it's like it's less than 100, isn't it?
It's just around 100, I think.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
And I feel like most of it is graphics and voice recording. There's so much dialogue. It's amazing.
So much dialogue. Well, I wanted to ask you, Josh, now that you've played the game, what would you describe is Starfield? If you're talking to someone that has no idea what this is or has never heard of it.
Yeah, I think that 45-minute video you had me watch was great. Bethesda did a fantastic job promoting and advertising and marketing their game with that one video. It's everything that they showed. It's everything that they promised. In my experience so far, the main story is super engaging. You know, I'm excited to see where it goes. They've got my attention. The galaxies are vast. Well, I guess it's just the one galaxy, correct, with the different systems.
Mm-hmm.
But it's vast and deep, and the story behind everything is just intense.
Okay.
Yeah, I just can't wait to play more. And like even going to just moons, right? Different moons of the different planets. There's just so much going on in every single one of them.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
So you would say would you say it's an exploration simulator?
If I had to describe it as one thing, that's probably the best explanation.
Okay.
So, what can you compare this game to? As far as, like, your other experiences, is this in the vein of a cyberpunk? Is this in the vein of something else? What parts of this game kind of align with other experiences you've had?
I honestly think I nailed it with what how I described it before with my expectations. It's the RPG of Cyberpunk. It's the action gameplay and storytelling of Mass Effect. and it's the piloting simulation of Star Wars Squadrons. It's I think those 3 games, 4 games that I've played to compare it to, um, Starfield is pulled off in 1 game.
Wow. Nice.
All right.
What would you say, who's this game for? What type of gamer, what type of person, I guess, would you describe this for? Or who would you say this is not for?
Yeah, I tried to. I think the last part of your question there is probably the best way to put it. I tried to think of gamers that this wouldn't be good for, like maybe someone that doesn't have a lot of time on their hands because it's bright, because you could put tons of hours into this game. But even still, you have the ability to just focus on the main story. If you just want to go through the main story, you can do it. So it's hard to say who this game is not for. It feels like a game for everybody. It's got elements of everything, every genre that you could want to explore, that you like, that you, if you dislike, you can avoid those areas. It's honestly, I think anybody can get into this game. It's got first person, it's got third person, it's got flying, it's got action, it's got exploration, crafting, RPG, building. It's just everything. It's awesome.
Nice.
All right. Follow up, because it came to my mind. Follow up to our previous conversation 2 weeks ago now. 3 weeks? 2 weeks. Have you found a spacesuit that you're willing to wear in public?
Okay.
Honestly, I just joined the Vanguard, the UC
Okay.
Vanguard, and I completed the first, what did they call it? I don't know, the first mission that they give you.
Mhm.
And the spacesuit and helmet that you get with that is pretty dope. I'm digging that one right now. It's like blue and yellow or orange colorish, but
Yeah.
it's lighter weight and the stats are pretty good. And yeah, the aesthetics of it are not as terrible as the Constellation suit that you get after joining Constellation, which is real bad. It's like 1960s
Yeah.
going to the moon style right there.
This is the OG Explorers.
Yeah.
Yep. Nice. Well, would you say that there's a gameplay loop to this, or is there no loop whatsoever? Is it just straight up everything is different all the time?
Um, no, I think there is definitely a loop of hopping back in your ship, flying here, landing, um, getting out, accomplishing tasks, going back to ship. But I mean, you could spread it out by like really exploring wherever you landed, whatever planet or moon. You could spend a lot of time there to break up that monotony of taking off, landing here, or you could spend more time in space just flying around. So you can break up that loop or that monotony of gameplay. Um, but it's got to be intentional. Like I
Mm.
think if you are, and then I don't know, like if you sat down and you just played the main story straight through, I'm
Yeah.
curious how well how they split up that loop, that gameplay loop.
Yeah.
But time will tell. But as for now, I think there's plenty of things to do to where you can break it up and you don't feel like you are in a loop that's going to burn you out.
Okay.
So you're actually going back to your ship and getting on your ship and then sitting in the pilot seat or are you skipping right past that?
Um, I think only recently have I mean, I've been utilizing the fast travel,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
but yeah, I think I have been doing. I don't know. I'm still figuring a lot of that stuff out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. 30 some odd hours and it's like, wait a second, I don't even like I tested it yesterday with when you're docked to a space station,
Yeah.
you have to undock before you can travel anywhere.
Yeah.
Or you get out of the pilot seat, stand there right next to your thing, and then you can still fast travel. So it's like, oh, I don't even have to undock or complete the mission. It's like, oh, I got to run back to my ship. No, just fast travel. Like at some point, it feels like I'm cheating.
Yeah, I know. What did I just do today? I got in my ship, went into orbit, and then I just aimed to where I needed to go to a different system. I think I needed to go to the Sol
Yes.
system, and I was on New Atlantis.
Yeah.
And I didn't open up any menus. I just steered my ship and aimed towards the mission beacon way out in the
Yeah.
galaxy, and I hit on desktop E, and it brought up the Sol system, and I just held X to travel to my mission location, and it just
Yeah.
went there instead of having to go to this, this whole system view and going down, selecting a
Yep.
planet. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I know this route by heart. Warp drive.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to follow up with, what do you think this game does well? And I know that you already hit on a lot of things, but maybe if you can be a little more broad, I guess. And then what does it not do well? If you want to be specific on that one, then yeah, by all means.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick to the universe building. The depth of story and universe
Mm-hmm.
is just mind blowing. Recently I just went to the moon of Titan on, I think it's Saturn,
Yeah.
in the Sol system, and the little community that's there, for example, is really hardcore on preserving Earth's history. They
Huh.
have an Earth museum there. They have a tour guide to watch it, take you through all of it. So you can pay him to take you through all of it.
Wow.
They have this really old, the oldest guy there at the community is like 98 years old, and he's just filled with stories of old Earth, and and you could just ask him
Wow.
to tell you story after story after story, and he'll tell you about the dinosaurs. He'll tell you that there was 2 world wars, and this guy named Hitler, and like it's just fascinating, and
Wow.
it's so engaging that you almost feel like you're playing a game that's based in the actual future.
Yeah.
Um, I I feel like if I could fast forward all the events that you learn about in this game, just makes like actual sense, things that can actually happen.
Yeah.
And like when I was joining the UC Vanguard, there's an optional thing you can do as you're going through it to learn about the history of the settled systems and the factions and the wars they've had, and it just really helps you understand everything that's happened, and you just feel like you're playing in the future, like a real future, because everything makes sense. It's not totally fantasy, It just
Yeah.
feels like it's a possible future. So they
Yeah.
just do an amazing job um, with the depth of the universe and storytelling.
Nice. Well, what
Oh,
does
and
it
then
not do well?
the second part. Second part is more, I guess, functionality. Um, for me, not being able to simultaneously play with keyboard mouse controls and with a mixture of controller bindings
Hmm.
is really like just a bummer.
Hmm.
Um, I want to be able to, like, if I'm playing with a gamepad, I want to be able to make like my touch pads emulate a mouse or bind a
Yeah.
keyboard button to a button, but you cannot do that. It doesn't support it at all.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh.
so as far as something that it doesn't do well, it doesn't do that at all.
Got
And
it.
it's just really disappointing. And I know that there's a lot of people out there just like me that it really hurts not being able to do that.
Hmm.
And then with that comes glitches. Like when I was playing on the Steam Deck, that was one of the major glaring glitches that I ran into a couple times where I just had to drop out of the game because I could no longer control it at all.
Hmm.
It would think I'm playing keyboard and mouse, even though I have my gamepad, and the Steam Deck is a gamepad, and
Right.
like my analog sticks and my trackpads were no longer working, and I just had to save and exit. Luckily, I found out ways to save.
Yeah.
So that is a big downside, and I don't know why they do that. Why have those restrictions?
I'm curious if that's going to open up sometime just for, I mean, there's going to be mod support, we know that, but I don't know if that has anything to do with functionality on Steam Deck or keyboard and mouse with controllers. Not sure.
Yeah, I think I saw a press release. Todd Howard said that they're committing to continuing to develop the game, and I think they released a whole list of items that they were planning on putting in there. One of those being field of view sliders and a bunch of settings upgrades so that you can control and get better functional use out of it.
Yeah. See how that turns out. Well, one of the last questions I wanted to ask you, pinpointed, was if you had to give a score to this game compared to every other game you've ever played, where would you place this?
That's not fair.
No one
I
said
mean,
this is going to be fair.
you could go off of this year alone, and
I mean, honestly, it's a fantastic game, and I'm having a blast, and I can't wait to play more. And like I said, 34 hours, and I've barely done anything. I think I've completed 2 main story missions. And I think I've done 34 activities and 26 normal quests, and have yet to fully explore a single moon or planets. I just like I've done nothing, but I've been having a blast doing nothing. And so, I mean, honestly, I would give it probably a 9 out of 10 right now.
Cool.
And just because, and if the game continues to stay as engaging as it's been, and playing through it, I don't experience anything that really detracts from as good as it's been so far. And if the main story ends with a banger, and there's a good twist in there, I don't know if I have any issues giving. I want to say a 10 out of 10, but I think the little things, like not being able to have simultaneous keyboard, mouse, and controller bindings, and a few other little tiny things, just but still, right? They're little tiny things, so you can't be perfect if there's little tiny things. So maybe 9.5 out of 10.
all right.
We have a couple more questions I think that we can ask. Paul, what do you want to ask?
Well, I was going to ask, are we moving on past the initial impressions and starting getting into some of the gameplay and experience, comparing how far we got? Because you already started on it. I think you got 37 hours in. I've got almost as much time, and I think I've got like a tenth of what you've done.
Yeah, I'm 34 hours. I've been to the Sol system, and what's the name of the New Atlantis? What's that system called?
Alpha Centauri.
Yes.
Yeah,
Those. I don't. What's the system that you start in? That's a different system as well, isn't it?
it is.
Vectera, like the Vectera
Vectera
moon,
is. I know
and
Vectera
Breach
moon.
is the moon right next to it.
Yep.
Those are the only 3 systems I've
Oh
been
my
to.
goodness.
I haven't been anywhere else.
In
That's it.
30, how many hours? 32?
34 hours.
34? Holy cow.
I've just
Are-
been bouncing back and forth between those.
Okay. Maybe
Wow.
maybe we go like this. What factions have you engaged in
That's a good question.
in any of the quests for? Or like which factions have you connected with and started enjoying working with?
I think just the United Colonies. Other than them, it's just been, what are the pirates called? I forget what the pirates are called.
The Crimson Fleet?
Crimson Fleet, but they're not even a faction, right? They're just.
They are. They are a faction.
Are they a faction?
They're a major faction, yes.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So I guess just them, because you're kind of forced to at the beginning of the game. And then after that, you go to New Atlantis, and I've just kind of been working with them in the Vanguard, and
Okay.
that's it.
All right, Jason, who all of you started working with?
Wait. Can I first ask for Josh to give us his background?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's do backgrounds.
Yeah. Give
Yeah.
us your background, the traits that you chose, and then
Okay.
give us a look at what your skill tree looks like.
Yeah. Well, starting out, I kind of blew past character design, like I mentioned in the
Yep.
previous podcast. And don't care too much for that. And man, it was deep. My wife Amy did start playing, and she did spend a lot of time developing her character. And,
Wow.
and at one point, she thought I saved over her save, and she was pissed. Pissed. I was like, you can just make your character again. She's like, do you know how much time I spent on my character? But I didn't. We found her save file. It was there. It's fine. But so anyways, past character design, I chose cyberneticist to go for a tech build.
Oh.
And I think that one gives you laser weapons, like a medical skill, and then the tech skill that you start with is not hacking, lockpicking. What's it called? Lockpicking?
Security?
Yeah, I think that's hacking.
Security.
Yeah.
Security. No, it's security,
Okay.
yeah. And then as I progress, I've been only building tech. I have not picked a skill from any other
Wow.
trade. Just everything
That
tech.
takes discipline.
I'm
Oh,
going
man.
full tech, baby.
Wow.
And then as far as the traits, the 3 traits, right? I chose kid stuff, enlightened, and wanted.
Okay.
Kid stuff because honestly, I tried to avoid the ones that you pick one or the other. I didn't want to pick any of those, even though I did pick enlightened.
You did pick enlightened, yeah.
I did pick enlightened, but I ended up dropping it as soon as I found the enlightened.
Oh.
One of the enlightened places, I went and I left.
Okay.
And then I picked wanted as well because I liked the idea of enemies chasing me. Because that just means more loot for me, more ships. If ships come after me, I don't know if that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that idea made sense to me. But I ended up just clearing my bounty as well. So now the only trait I have is kid stuff.
Wait. You can clear your bounty?
Yep. Literally, when I go to my character specs or stats or information, it just says kid stuff. I only have one trait.
Huh.
And I think you can drop that too if you want.
Yeah.
What,
I
by
don't know how,
pulling a
though.
Batman?
Yeah. Something like that, I'm sure.
That is horrible.
But if I could go back and do it again, though, I think I would pick the luxurious house. I don't remember what that one's
yeah.
called.
It's
But I
Dream
would
House.
definitely pick that. And I like the kid stuff one. I'd probably stick with that one. And then I would probably pick either introvert or extrovert. One of those two. I'm not sure yet.
Can you explain what kid stuff really is to someone that has no idea?
Yeah, kid stuff
Just a
is-
small bit.
Yeah, was basically your parents are still alive and they own a house. For me, it was in the at the UC on New Atlantis.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it would be that for anybody. I
That
think
could
that's
be.
where they would be for anybody. Yeah. But you can go and you could go and visit them. They find some of your old stuff. They gift you with things. They send you notes. And you can go back and visit them and just chat with them, and they get all giddy over your story and what's happening to you and with Constellation. They can't believe that you're part of that group, and they're all excited. And
That's
it
awesome.
just makes it a little bit more depth and, I don't know, character building, and feels more real, having
Yeah.
family in the game. It's kind of neat.
Cool. Can you tell us the name of your character? Is it just Josh?
It's JD.
JD?
That's just
Okay.
my initials.
What level have you gotten up to? Do you know?
Oh yeah, level 12.
12. Okay. Cool. And you said all of your skill points are in tech, like except for the
All of them.
maybe random one that you got at the beginning.
Yeah, I think I started with one in combat and one in what is
Physical. Physical.
The medical
no
field?
the medical one with the crafting tree. What's the crafting tree called?
I think that
Is that science?
Mm-mm.
No. Is that social? So there's physical, social, combat, science, tech.
Science falls under science. The
Okay.
medical one falls under science.
Okay.
And then yes, tech. And then tech, I've been going every time I get a point, a new one. I have not gone to level 2 of any skill yet.
Okay.
So
You've
I'm
just
unlocking. I'm
everything that
unlocking
you
all
can.
the way down to the bottom
That's interesting.
before I start doubling up.
That's really interesting.
And I'm prioritizing in tech piloting.
Okay.
So if I could start over again, I would probably pick a pilot character. I
I
think that was
am
one of the choices.
with you on that. I am trying to get piloting right now, and I
Really?
neglected that like completely.
Yeah.
Um, cool. Sorry, I didn't want to take over, but should I explain mine?
Go for it.
So
Yeah.
I remember I've got 47 hours into this. My guy's name is Indiana Bones, and he's up to level 25. And my background was Beast Hunter, so he's, I don't know, a natural at hunting alien beasts, and tracking and stuff like that. So for whatever that is worth, I've had like one dialogue, no, maybe two dialogue trees that have referenced it, and that's it in my 47 hours. um,
Oh wow.
the traits that I picked is hero worshipped. So that's where you have this guy that just finds you right when you land at New Atlantis and is like, I am your biggest fan. And you can dismiss him anytime and get rid of that trait just by saying, sorry, you've overdone it. But instead, I've told him, hey, you have not done enough. And you need to build that hype level
Oh.
even higher. And he's like, I can do that. Thank you so much for asking me to do that. It's hilarious. He just like randomly talks about you being the greatest person in the world while you're walking by him. Um, However, he's no longer on my ship. That's because I've just met too many people that I have traits that I want from them that he's just not the biggest person that I want anymore. And Constellation in general has like enough to fill up a ship, right? So those guys are my my partners in crime, you could say. And so my worshiper, he's he's somewhere. I'm not sure where, but he's not on the ship. He's just waiting in New Atlantis or something like that. I haven't run into him until I like tell him to go to an outpost or to another ship. He's just not going to show up, I think. Um, my other trait, alien DNA. I figured he's a beast hunter, so he somehow acquired alien DNA. Except in this game, it says that you were part of a like government science project that gave you alien DNA. The perks of that is you have a lot more oxygen, and you have more health in general. But the downside is that you don't gain as good of a benefit from any other source of like healing or any stimulant type of thing. Um, and so far, I found probably every doctor that you meet, you can get rid of that if you pay 10,000 credits. At the beginning, that was like, I'm never spending 10,000. Now I've spent a lot more than 10,000. But at the beginning, I was like, yeah, I'm just keeping this because I'm not going to pay 10,000 to get rid of it. And it hasn't come up in much other dialogue as far as I've seen. And the last one is I also did Wanted. So that's where the bounty hunters just come at you. And I'm sure, Josh, if you've noticed, you kind of get slightly nervous if you really want to go from planet A to planet B or from the planet to the moon or something like that, because these guys can just pop out of nowhere and just start attacking you. And you've spec'd into tech, so all of that stuff is ship bonuses, right? So you're doing like a lot of damages. I've done a lot of tech as well, but at the beginning I didn't, and so I got shot out of the sky. I've got shot out of space probably up to 20 times now because
Wow.
they've just popped up with like three or four of them, and I've gotten maybe all but one, and the last person has ended me. Um, but what I've also come across is when you're exploring on the planet, they land and come after you on foot. And in that compartment, I've been overpowered beyond anything that I've come across. I've just had way too much power that when they're on the ground, I'm like, okay, this is just shooting fish in a barrel for me. But in space, it has not been that way. And I recently just got enough credits to buy new weapon systems, and since I've gotten that, yeah, it's not as big of a hindrance. But sometimes those random I don't know, they're like maybe 10 levels higher than you jump in, and you still have to deal with them. Or you can, I don't know if you've noticed, but you can grab jump out of the situation.
Hmm.
So anytime someone's trying to shoot you down, you can grab jump to another solar system, but you can't go from one planet to another, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
I share the same experience as far as
yeah,
game difficulty.
yeah,
It's definitely space piloting and dogfights is hands down. I chose very hard, the hardest difficulty,
yeah.
and to join the Vanguard, the UC Vanguard, one of the things you have to do is a flight simulator, and you have to
Oh,
pass at least 3 um, waves of enemies out of 6,
oh,
and to so that they can evaluate you, how good you are, so they know where to place you as far as missions when you're joining.
yeah.
And on very hard with, of course, you don't have your ship, you don't have your weapons, but you have your skills.
Mm.
Um, so when I first joined, I didn't really have many tech skills yet, and I could not pass the 3rd wave, the 3rd
Yeah,
phase of ships, and
yeah,
that's the one you have to pass to join the Vanguard. So
yeah.
I gave up, progressed, got more pilot skills and tech, came back, and got past the 4th wave out of
Nice,
6,
nice.
and managed to join the Vanguard. So yeah, it's the dogfighting is definitely been the hardest part of the game
Yeah,
for me as well.
and yeah, it's also kind of funny because the wanted thing, sometimes bounty hunters jump in and then immediately good bounty hunters, well, good in quotation marks, jump in and they finish off those other bounty hunters that are going after you, and then they say, "Hey, you should just get out of here. We are just trying to fatten the calf, let you get nice and big bounty before we come and take you out." These guys have no patience. So that has happened to me probably 5 different times. And it's always been in the
Wow.
time
Okay.
when
Cool.
I've had no ship materials to heal my ship. And I've been like, I am so thankful that these like scavengers have just come along, because then usually, maybe, well, not usually, but out of 3 ships that you find that have been blown apart, you probably find 1 ship part to heal your ship with. So that's come in handy, because you don't know if you're gonna, you're done with that encounter. You go to the surface where you have your mission, and then you come back up to space to go somewhere else. You could run into bounty hunters again. So you run into bounty hunters so much with this wanted thing. Um,
Are
anyway,
you gonna keep it,
I'm
or
gonna
are you
keep
gonna
it
get
as
rid of it?
long as I play. I'm keeping it just because I want to see if it goes anywhere crazy. Um, and I've had other encounters, and I think they are not belonging to the wanted category. It has not been bounty hunters, but I've had other ships come in that are gigantic, and they're basically, "Hey, I'm a giant ship. Give me 4,000 credits, or wait, I can blast you out of space. It's your choice." And
Wow.
I mean, I'm like, okay. And I have taken one on, and I've actually won, but it's because I noticed that he was the exact same level as me and not higher level. And I waited for to engage the dialogue until he was right over me, and then when you engage dialogue, it stops all the ships. And then I said, "No, I'm just going to attack you." And then he was facing away, and so I did a U-turn really quick and just went at him, and before he could turn all the way around, I had him finished off. So that was the only reason I picked that big fight. Anyway, going on to my skills. I have a diverse amount of skills, but I've been mainly in tech. I have physical, 2 points in there for fitness and for stealth. Fitness was given to me at the beginning. Stealth is one thing that I just put in there because I wanted to be invisible. Social had 2 points. I had gastronomy that was given to me, so that's like food stuff. And then I think I did scavenging, which allows you to find more credits in anything that you are looking rummaging around with. Um, Combat, I have 5 points. I picked ballistics, dueling, lasers, and heavy weapons certification. But I pretty much only have 1 point in each, so it's doing moderately more damage with all those. Science, I have 7 points. I did astrodynamics to do longer grav jumps. I did surveying, which is your scanner thing. I have that almost maxed out, so you can zoom in and scan things from far away. I did scanning, which is not surveying, but that's the one from the ship. So your planet you find more things on the planet when you hit scan. Weapon engineering, because I wanted to try and do some weapon attachments, and that hasn't happened yet. I mean, I've done a couple, but you have to, I think, do like 10 weapon attachments, and all the weapons I find are like very nice already attached weapons, and so I'm really not doing much attachment and progressing in that, which sucks. I did tech 11 points so far. And I did the boost pack training so I can boost around. I did piloting just recently. I only have 1 point in it because I noticed I've taken over ships before, and also on the surface just snuck around and snuck into ships from people that are just landing there. And I found a gigantic one, and I noticed I could not take it over, even though I killed everybody on board, all the bad guys. I could not take it over because I need piloting to be at like not the highest
Class
level,
B
but
or
I need,
Class C, yeah, 4 or
yeah,
5.
and I had no clue, and I was so bummed. So now I'm getting into that. I did security. That's almost maxed, so I'm constantly picking locks. Targeting control systems, that is about halfway through. That is a really useful tool.
Yeah, it is.
It's super good, especially if you want to board other spacecraft. I've done energy weapon systems and then shield systems because I thought I was getting killed so much I have to up those shields. Anyway, Paul, sorry, I've taken a
Yeah.
lot of time, but Paul, tell us what
Oh.
you have run with.
Let's see. My character's name is Paul. He is, I think, like default template number 17 or something. So, it was great that they left that caveat in there that you could always go back and like get, you couldn't change your traits and whatnot, but you could change your character. So I was like, oh, yep, I'm going with the default. I'm not going to deal with 2.5 hours trying to, get an appropriate unibrow on my character. So I went with the industrialist, which starts you off with 1 point in research, 1 point in security, and one other one. I don't remember what. But getting for me, the hacking and the lockpicking is kind of a thing. I just can't not.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And then the research I thought was great because I thought it was going to be great because I've got all of this stuff. I can do weapon mods. I can do all this different stuff, and it's a place to sink resources into. And I have a habit of collecting inventory, which that's my wall is inventory management that I'm trying to get over right now.
Oof.
So I did that. As far as traits, I did the wanted one as well.
Oh man!
I did alien DNA.
Oh!
I really love alien DNA because having that extra oxygen while over encumbered is fantastic.
Yes.
And I'm not opening up my inventory to eat a whole bunch of food. I like. And as far as popping stims and everything, I think I've popped like 1 stim in this game, and I immediately got extremely addicted to it. And I was like, oh great, this is going to be exciting.
Oh, whoa, okay, interesting.
Yeah, so there's addiction mechanics, and then you end up getting withdrawals, and it messes with your stats and stuff.
I've seen the meds for the addiction stuff, but I don't know what that means yet. So, but okay, there we go.
Yeah, if you start crutching on some stimulants, You might end up getting to compensate for that crutch. Uh, yeah. So I can't remember what my third trait was, but obviously it wasn't anything significant to be remembered. But as far as where my character's kind of developed, it's been difficult.
Mm.
Like my first stat points ended up going into weapons, and that's primarily because I went on the one of the very first missions where you have to, in order to go to New Atlantis, you have to stop the pirates, the local pirate guy type thing.
Okay.
So I landed there.
Yeah.
And then a ship landed just up the hill from me. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to go over there and see what's going on there. So I go up there, and it's the bounty hunters that are attacking me. Kill them off. I don't have the points to take their ship or anything, but it's like, okay, I got to do the quest. And I turn around, and the quest marker is now like on my ship rather than at the local facility down the hill from me. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go get in my ship, and I'm going to take off and land, and it's going to tell me to come right back here. So I'm just going to go here because this is I thought this is the building I'm supposed to be at to take down the pirate captain. So I go in there, and I'm level 2, and I'm fighting a whole bunch of level 6 bad guys. And I'm not even going on like a hard difficulty mode type deal. So, but like mag and a half to try and take down this level 6 character. So I got my little axe, and I'm like jumping out of the shadows and axing them, and then jumping back into the shadows and like trying to pop my stim packs or my health packs, and it's like, okay, get out there and take them out, and then get back, and then take them out and get back. And, it was really rough, and all of my levels were like, if I'm gonna be mag dumping for each bad guy, I'm gonna need the points in my ballistics. So I started putting points into ballistics, put more points into lock picking because I mean, this advanced or expert lock, I just can't not pick it. And their little lock picking mini game is actually an ingenuitive little puzzle there compared to all the other lock picking games that they've got with Bethesda titles. So did that, and then I kept investing in research, and I kept thinking, hey, I'm gathering all of this inventory. So the more I'm able to research, the more I'll be able to burn that inventory off. And that's not quite the way it works. But as far as like the weapon mods and stuff, I was just grabbing junk, and then it didn't matter if it had a mod on it already. It's like, oh, I have the inventory to make this other mod, and I don't care if it's a downgrade or an upgrade because I'm going to junk it as soon as I get it done. And so I'm syncing all of in order to level up that mod perk, I'm syncing all of my materials, which is, I've got so many materials. Like, yeah, I say I've got like maybe 10% of what Josh has done so far, because I've transitioned from like trying to play the game to trying to find an inventory management system. And so
it's a job
like
now.
I had no interest in like building an outpost, and then I found out you can build inventory storage on an outpost, and you can build like, I haven't used them yet, but I guess the transfer stations to move inventory around. So I was like, oh, hey, I'll just drop an outpost. I don't have to care about it. Build some inventory, dump everything in the inventory. And it was like, oh, wow, it's really expensive to build this inventory, and it really doesn't hold an awful lot. So now I have to go get more stuff to build more storage, to dump more stuff. And,
That's
and then I got my hands
loop.
on. Yeah, well, that's. My gameplay loop has turned into trying to get enough stuff to build more storage so that I can move more stuff out of my ships so that I can have space.
You're going to become the trade authorities competition.
You know, I wanted to be like the industrialist magnate type thing. Wasn't really interested in the outpost, and now I just want the outpost so that I can drop all of these inventory assets. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's kind of been the development of my character, and I also avoided or ignored some of the ship related items,
Yeah.
and so almost immediately, like even on the whatever the default difficulty level is, I was just past level 5. I was getting wrecked by any type of space combat that I was running into.
Oh, yeah.
So I've just started putting points into that. I got my hands on one ship, and then I took it to the dealer, chopped it in half so that it was nice and light and maneuverable, and then upgraded everything I possibly could, and then sent it into this thing. And after the first 20 times, then I did the whole chop shop on the ship, and then it only took me like 3 or 4 tries before I finally got lucky and survived this one encounter that I ran into with only 3 ships. Yeah, so that's where my recent points have been going, is trying to recover the space combat aspect.
Nice. Nice. Well,
Honestly, I think I would still be on. I think that was the Crete moon where you go to kill those first pirates that you have to do in the mission after you leave Vectera. I think is the starting moon.
Yep.
I think I would still be on Crete if I didn't have the expectation to review this game, so I forced myself to progress. Also, if I didn't get lung disease for being out in the storm too long on Crete, and I had no meds, and I was slowly dying a terrible death, and I was like, all right, I have to leave this moon now, or else I'm just gonna die.
that's
So,
wonderful.
the forces forced me to leave that moon, or else I think I'd still be there, just like you, Paul.
Oh man.
Well, I cleared out that level 6 encampment,
Yeah.
went back to the ship, went into orbit, and then the quest marker reset back down to right where I was. So I landed again. And I don't know if it was because I went up the hill and got far enough away from the objective point that it reset and had me leave and then come back. But I guess I just like, oh, it's not this location. And I turn and there's the level 2 encounter that's part of the quest mission.
That's funny.
And then I tried to do a little exploring, and I got wrecked by a level 18 bug.
Those bugs, they get you. Well,
Those
I
are
have
good
to ask this question because Paul's been wanting to ask this question. Josh, what's your favorite weapon?
Oh, okay. So, I've been keeping inventory of the best version of every weapon I've found so far on my ship. But physically on me in my inventory, I'm keeping one melee weapon, the best melee weapon I find, the best laser pistol I find, and the best laser rifle I find. So those
Okay.
3 weapons is what I'm... And again, because my character started with laser in combat. That's the only reason.
Got it.
So what's the top laser weapon? Because I've been binning every single one that I come across.
Well, the solstice or something I think is what the pistol is, and then the rifle starts with an E. I don't remember what that one's
Equinox.
called. Yeah, I think it's what Sarah starts with.
Okay, yeah.
Oh.
And those are the only 2 I've found. So those are the 2 I've been using, and they're fine.
All right.
They've been enough to kill all the baddies on very hard
Nice.
without too much difficulty. I've been killing. I think the highest level thing I've killed is level 15.
Okay.
I gave Sarah a shotgun, and she's just been wrecking stuff. So that's helpful. It's like the laser weapons. I take down their shields, and then she just one-shots them with a shotgun blast to the face. It's been a pretty good combo.
Nice. Paul, what's your favorite?
Okay. My favorite was it was a named weapon, the Ashta,
Yes.
the Ashta Ender, whatever
Yeah.
it was. I
Ashton
thought it was a
Hunter.
shotgun because it looks like a shotgun. And I'm shooting it, and it's starting things on fire and exploding, and I'm like, oh, it must have some sort of effect attached to it. But it's basically a one shot on everything that I'm hitting. I'm like, yes, this is awesome. And then I was looking at it in the inventory, and I realized it's a 40 millimeter grenade launcher. Like,
Oh
oh, that
man.
explains the explosions.
Oh man.
So that one was good. I got another one that's essentially a revolver. When you get with the Freestar Collective kind of territories, you end up with a lot of Western style stuff. So I've got one that's essentially a hard hitting revolver and 43 Ultra Mag. And anything at my level is basically a one shot. So I'm going into every single shop I can find and like, hey, sell me all your 43 Ultra
Give
Mag.
me that Ultra Mag.
Yeah,
Did
I
you say
will.
your level, Paul? What level are you?
I think I'm around level 12 or 13.
Okay.
Very close to where you're at.
Okay.
And that was a big one for me. And then another one is I can't remember the last numbers, but it's like the AA 4120 or 4190 or something.
That's a variation. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's
That's
an
laser, right?
advance. No, no,
That's
the
ballistic.
one I'm shooting is a slug gun, ballistic.
Okay. Okay.
But I used my expert lock picking. I cracked a door open. There was an inventory manifest that was sitting there saying, you know, make sure everything's in here. If it's missing, report it. And there's these two AA something or another submachine guns that have a value of $15,000 a
You
piece.
just take it.
And so
Report it
yeah, I
missing.
took one to sell and the other one I'm keeping, and I took that thing and your full auto hits at a lower damage number, and if you switch it to semi-auto, then it like triples. Well, this one's sitting there hitting at a quadruple a typical full auto damage, and it's full auto.
Yeah.
Downside is it's a 24 magazine size off of kind of the default, and it's 11 millimeter shells, which tend to be a little bit more rare to pick up.
Yeah, those are rare.
But it feels really good to just take something out with a 3-shot burst. Like, that's a whole lot better than dumping half a mag
Yeah.
or a full mag. And yeah, so anything that kills quickly, it's a great feeling when you just kind of run through and
Yeah.
and then you hit some of the biggies with some shields, and it takes a little bit more work, but so it's not too easy. It's just
Yeah.
not mundanely. I don't know. It doesn't feel mundane.
Yeah.
Jason, I was going to ask you, how are you getting a majority of your XP to be level 24 plus already? What are you doing to get so much XP?
I found out very quickly the main quests give you like up to 200 XP.
Okay.
Doing the main quests will boost you the most. Doing full on side quests will give you at least like 125 XP.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're like killing a creature, it's like 15 to 20 XP. If you're killing a person, it's like 25 XP. If it's an over leveled person, it's 45 XP. And when you're exploring places, that's only 20 XP, things like that. Selling things, you're not going to get any XP. So doing those side quests are really the things that bump up your XP. Side quests and main quests. And I neglected the main quests for a long time and did lots of side quests, probably up to level 15 or so. And then I started doing the main quests, and that has bumped me up so much because they force you to go visit different places and to do multiple different journeys in one quest. And according to the game, I've only done 7 quests, main quests. I don't know how many there are. It's double digits for sure, but I don't feel like I'm halfway through. Maybe I'm halfway through. It could be. but I've only done 7 of them, and that really jumped my the amount of how high I'm getting in level. Of course, everything else levels with you roughly. If you go to the lower level systems, then those usually have lower level bad guys that at this point I am one-shotting, kind of like you, Paul, with those ultra mags. I was gonna say my favorite weapon, according to the game, is a Beowulf. That's that like NASA-inspired P90 submachine gun, and whatever mod version that I've found so many of them, but whichever one that I found is full auto, and it is basically no recoil. So if I'm in shotgun distance or a little bit beyond, I just melt people with that. It's not my favorite one though. It's just what the game has found out I kill the most with. My favorite one is one that I've found. I don't know where I found it actually, but it is an assassin's. It's not a Desert Eagle, but it's basically a Desert Eagle. So it's like the Ultra Mag big pistol
Yeah.
that it looks like a space version of a Desert Eagle, which is, a 50 caliber pistol type thing, or
That's
can be lower
it's.
too.
Is it 50 cal or is it the
There's a
43 Ultra Mag?
Well, no, it's a 43 Ultra Mag in the game. I'm saying it's
Okay.
modeled after the Desert Eagle in real life.
Yeah.
But
There's I think I might have gotten that same gun,
okay,
and it's essentially kind of like the UC or United Colonies version of kind of the cowboy gun that I got.
okay,
So
okay, makes
very
sense.
similar in damage numbers. I think the revolver one that I've got does a little bit more damage, and it makes up for it by having a smaller magazine, so you have to reload.
Yeah.
Longer
So
reload time.
my mag is 7 rounds, and
Okay.
it's got a suppressor and a scope on it. Not like I'm stealthing around getting people with that, but I do roughly 2-shot people if they're just standing there. If they are just below my level, if they're my level, it will take probably a mag, and if they're higher than my level, it will take maybe a mag and a half. But that thing is amazing. It really is lots of fun. But yeah, I think that covers most of the things that I was really wanting to talk about. We kind of gone into some of
Alright.
our stories. We have a little bit more time, but did you guys want to share something else?
I want to know what factions y'all have joined
Oh,
up with.
okay.
And I don't necessarily say we got to get into spoilers, but I just want to know like who's touched what and who's worked on what.
Okay.
I know Josh, you've worked your way through UC mostly.
Yep, UC, join the Vanguard. We're estimated 10 years until I get citizenship with UC and I get to
10 years.
purchase a house. That's what they told me.
Wow.
You know what's going to be amazing is if you actually do hit the 10-year mark from now, and it's like, oh hey, citizenship, here's a house.
But so far it's awesome. I just love the idea of like their navy is basically like contractors, like people just trying that are either citizens or trying to become citizens and have their own ship and are pilots, and they just send you out on missions. It's like that's so cool to me. I loved it, so jumped on that right away.
That's awesome. Jason?
Well, I'm sending both of you a little picture that I took earlier today so I can keep track of this.
All right.
But
Well,
I have done 0
Wow.
UC colonies
Yeah.
quests. I've done 0 Ryogen Industries quests. I've done 0 Crimson Fleet quests, and I've only done 1 Freestar Collective quest because that's the first thing that happens when you walk into Aquila City.
oh, okay.
That is it. I haven't done anything with anyone outside of Constellation.
Wow.
How about you, Paul?
Yeah, so I have spent the most recent amount of my time just trying to work out a way to manage my inventory or sink or burn my inventory. Uh, I completely ignored the UC. I did the one free star that kind of came with the quest or
Yeah.
the main story, and then do y'all hear anything?
Nope.
Oh,
Oh. I hear something ringing. Oh, it's our timer. Okay, it's this magical musical noise that's coming through my earphones, and it's like, what is that?
Yep.
All right. So I did the Freestar Collective, going with the Aquila City, and then I got far enough in the story that you go to Neon City, and I kind of did. I guess it was just part of that section of the main quest. I really like Neon City, because that faction is the ultra capitalist.
That's
where
you, the
it's-
industrialist, right?
Yeah, so the whole industrialist, that background comes up in conversation quite a bit type deal. Especially in Neon City, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm a businessman too. Profits and margins and cutthroat, sometimes literally, because this is ultra capitalism. And yeah, so I don't think I've actually done any of the Ryujin faction quests.
Okay.
I've just been to Neon City and enjoyed that. However, I accidentally found myself a deep state agent working for the UC by joining the Crimson Fleet. So I am now in the Crimson Fleet against my will. Yeah. I'm not going to give any spoilers on how you end up getting yourself into that position. But yeah. I just accidentally found myself shipped off to join the baddies.
That's exciting. Man.
Just
Well-
because I was trying to solve my inventory addiction.
Those addictions.
Sounds
There's
right.
there's
Sounds
there
right.
that addictol, right? Is that the thing you should be taking to get rid of your
Yeah.
addictions?
Well, and that was okay. So that's one of the reasons I went with research, was because if I go with research, I have something to sink my resources into, kind of deal. There's so many stinking resources, and there's all of the ones I need, and then all of the ones I don't have, and
Yeah.
and then when you start doing the base building type stuff, oh my goodness, the amount of resources that you need.
Yeah.
Aluminum
I believe
and
it.
iron. Just start stockpiling aluminum and iron.
Oh.
I mean,
Oh man. Well, I think we're gonna have to cut the episode here because we've run up on our time. But I feel like this will not be the last time we're talking about Starfield together. If Josh is up for it, maybe he'll come back for another follow-up later on down the road. But really thankful that you were able to do this with us, Josh, and that we could get your opinion on this game as an outsider, as someone that has not been following this, as someone that has no stake in this in any way. It's really fun to hear your thoughts on all of this. Thank you for being part of this.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you challenging me to take it on. Guarantee I would not have bought it or played it or followed it at all if it wasn't for you guys. So yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Nice. Paul, anything you have to add?
well, now I'm thinking we gotta do more game challenges, because I definitely had a lot of fun with this one and with introducing a new game. So Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to do that in the future. Well, thank you everybody for listening to Half a Chance podcast. And we will be back with maybe more Starfield, but definitely more other things. So keep it tuned here. Thank you for watching. Bye.
bye.
Yeah. my refrigerator's ice maker sounds exactly the same as my cat throwing up. So, and it usually happens during the night, and so last night it was happening, and I was expecting to wake up to a bunch of cat puke in the living room, but nope,
Wow.
just the refrigerator, luckily.
Lucky
Oh.
you.